By now, I think it's fair to say that most of you know who Rich Energy are. I mean, the fact that you've even clicked on the video is a pretty good indicator for the fact that you not only know who the company are, but also know the giant fiasco, not only between Rich Energy, but Haas F1. If you don't know, I'll do a quick little history lesson for you. At the beginning of 2019, Rich Energy partnered up with Haas F1. It was a title sponsorship with Rich Energy plastered all over the car, a new livery, black and gold, looking lovely, and it appeared that we now had a brand new relationship in Formula 1 that was going to last at least a couple of years. However, last week, on September the 9th, that was all flipped straight on its head, with the team announcing that they were parting ways with Rich Energy. Not at the end of the season, not after 2 seasons, no, right away. So much so that for the next Grand Prix in Singapore next weekend, it won't be Rich Energy Haas F1, it will just be Haas F1 Team. They've completely abandoned them. Okay, it was a mutual agreement in the end. However, Rich Energy will not be on any Haas branded things next time out in Singapore. Now, of course, you didn't come here for a history lesson. You came here, first of all, because of the thumbnail and the title. Were Rich Energy successful in Formula 1? They've only been here 12 months. And yet, as I said at the beginning of the video, you know who they are. You clicked on this video, so surely that's got to be some good branding. Let's look into it a little bit more deeply, because that's a very generic way to put it. But I think overall, there has been some degree of success. It's not been a plain sailing journey in Formula 1 for Haas. It's not been a plain sailing journey for Rich Energy either. So I think it's only fair to start at the beginning of Rich Energy's journey in Formula 1. Funnily enough, that goes back to the beginning of my channel. One of the very first videos I did, I think it must have been my 10th video or something like that on the channel, was discussing Rich Energy. Now, if you're new around here, you won't know when I started YouTube, but it was at the beginning of the 2018 season, so at the beginning of last year, and there were rumours that a new Formula 1 team could be working its way onto the grid in the form of Rich Energy Formula 1 team. Didn't come to fruition in 2018, pretty obviously. However, halfway through 2018, when Force India went into administration, William Story, who is the founder of Rich Energy, it all gets a little bit messy there, so I'll try and avoid that, but William Story put in a bid to buy out the team. Now, again, we know that it wasn't Rich Energy that ended up acquiring the team. It was Lawrence Stroll, father of Lance Stroll, and his business consortium that bought the team, and it's now Racing Point. But that was Rich Energy's first real attempt to move into Formula 1. Then later on in the year, there were plenty of rumours, and it almost seemed nailed on that it was going to be Rich Energy partnering with Williams for 2019. Williams, strapped for cash, I think's fair to say, struggling at the back of the grid. A title sponsor, you could argue, was needed. But they didn't go with Williams. They went with Haas. A bizarre decision at the time. Many people saying, well, Haas are a fairly new team, but more importantly, they're not particularly strapped for cash. They have their own identity, their own colour scheme. Why would they want to give that up for Rich Energy? And that was a fair enough statement. Gene Haas, the man who owns Haas, I feel I've said that word many times already in this video, he's a wealthy man. To be fair to him, he's earned it over his career in NASCAR and owning a NASCAR team, but moving over to Formula 1, of course, it's an expensive venture. And I tell you what, even if you don't need a title sponsor, bringing one in, just providing that little bit of cash for the team, it doesn't hurt. So now we're in 2019. Rich Energy, they're on the grid with Haas F1. Who are Rich Energy? That's also an important sort of thing that I've sort of glossed over there. Well, again, a relatively unknown company. And I think that's where my ultimate conclusion, this is where it comes from. Did you know Rich Energy before they were in Formula 1? That's a really important factor in this entire fiasco, because the whole point of a sponsorship is awareness, is marketing, to let people know who your company are. And when you consider Rich Energy, really, they're only a baby company, not necessarily in size, well, they are, compared to companies like Red Bull, the gigantosaurs of the energy drink business, but only founded in 2015. That's only 3 full years of trading. That's not a lot for a company that claims to be better than Red Bull, that claims to be one of Britain's best energy drinks. Also, when you consider the fact that Rich Energy, how they supply their energy drinks is, let's say, unorthodox. They don't sell them on the general market. They don't sell them generally to the public. They sell them in premium casinos, premium establishments, and they sell them at events. You can't just go into Tesco or Walmart if you're over in the States. You can't do that. You have to go to them, which is a very unique way of doing it. Although what is funny, I will just say this, with all their troubles they're going through, you go onto their website and try and buy anything from them, all out of stock. Just throwing that out there. A little bit dodgy. Anyway, they operate very differently to most energy drinks company, and thus their marketing strategy has to be more aggressive. They haven't gone down the route of putting up TV adverts, very straightforward way of marketing. They haven't necessarily gone down the route of celebrity endorsements. They've more gone down the sports sponsorship route, something that Red Bull historically have done really well with. I mean, they have their own Formula 1 team, of course, but also they sponsor their own athletes, even Ninja. I didn't think I'd ever mention him or Fortnite in one of my videos. That's upsetting. Anyway, that's what Red Bull have gone for. Have their own series, stunt planes, stunt boats, stunt rocket ships. I don't know these days. They're crazy boys. But Rich Energy, being a smaller company, don't have the funds to put on rocket ship jump shows like I just mentioned with Red Bull. That's not real, by the way. But what they've done instead is endorse athletes. So there's quite a few boxers that are sponsored by Rich Energy, a few of the guys in IndyCar, a few of the guys and girls in Formula 2. They also sponsor West Ham women's football team. I wasn't aware of that before researching for this video, but of course, the most notable one is Haas. The deal, title sponsor for 2019, as I mentioned earlier, Haas didn't really particularly need a title sponsor, but they went for one anyway. And I think that's a really key part of this video, is that Rich Energy made the decision to go with Haas. Okay, probably expecting that they'd be a little bit higher up the grid from Williams, but also, I think what it allowed them to do is be a little bit more flexible, is kick up a fuss a little bit more, because Haas aren't relying on the funds coming in from Rich Energy, whereas Williams would be, and they'd have to play ball a hell of a lot better. So this whole fiasco with White Bikes, Rich Energy stole, I'm just going to say it, stole White Bike's logo. There's a whole legal process still ongoing, I believe, although Rich Energy has eventually changed their logo. That has cost money. Haas have stuck with them through that fiasco. They've also stuck with them ever since Rich Energy put out a naughty little tweet. I believe the person responsible from that has been dealt with within Rich Energy, but saying Haas haven't been good enough and they were terminating their sponsorship. Haas still stuck with them. Haas have not been good enough this year, and I'm sure there's definitely been performance clauses there, but I like to just forgetting all the on-track antics, the whole point of a sponsorship is that you know who the company are. They have kicked up such a fuss this year. Everyone knows Rich Energy. I guarantee you Sky, Channel 4, I don't know who provides it in the US. I think it's ESPN. I believe it's Ziggo Sports in the Netherlands. Whatever you watch Formula 1 on, they will mention this fiasco in the upcoming Singapore Grand Prix. I look at other sponsors that have joined Formula 1, even other energy drink sponsors. I think a really good example here is Hype Energy. You've probably never even heard of them. They were on the halo of the Force India car last year. They've been with Force India for quite a few seasons now. I believe this is the first year in quite a long time they've not been partnered with Racing Point, but Force India, they were definitely there a very long time. Do you know who Hype Energy are? Before I just said that, were you even aware they were a sponsor in Formula 1. They even, I believe, sponsored AOR at the end of last year. But does the general public know who they are? And they've probably pumped in more money into Formula 1, but because they were quiet, because their sponsorship was a little bit on the side, you're not really too aware. Do many people know who BWT are? The big main sponsor of Racing Point and Force India that made the car pink. Do many people know that they're a company that deals with water? Probably not, but Rich Energy have made themselves known in Formula 1. And whilst they've only been there 12 months, it just keeps ringing in my head that nobody knew who this company were. Now they do, but not only that, because of course exposure's great, but if you're not going to buy the product, what good is that? I go back to Hype Energy. Now you know they were in Formula 1. Would you buy a can? I don't think so. But because Rich Energy prides itself on being this exclusive premium drink, and we all know about this because they won't shut up about it, but that's really going to help them. First of all, if they ever do go into the general market, if they are in Sainsbury's, in Asda, wherever, that's really going to help them. Because the Formula 1 market, even 2 or 3 years down the line, if we see a Rich Energy, I would be very surprised if a Formula 1 fan didn't go, you know what, I'm going to try that. Even if you don't like energy drinks, I still think there are people out there, maybe even yourself, that are going to give this product a try. Even if it's not even in the supermarket, if you go to a Formula 1 event and they just happen to sell it, I think people will try it. And ultimately, success is so hard to judge in business, mainly because we don't have the numbers. But I'm willing to bet the exposure they've gained from Formula 1, the potential sales and revenue they have gained from Formula 1 will offset the expenditure they've currently produced by sponsoring Haas and the legal kerfuffle they have got into. Ultimately, I'm sure you guessed this by now, I think it has been a success in Formula 1. Okay, I imagine they probably would have wanted to stay a little bit longer. And I think it's fair to say there's definitely been some damage to the company's reputation. And brands in the future, I'm sure, will think twice before letting this team be a sponsor on their car, on their jersey, whatever it is. But I think in the short term, there's been gains. And a company that was unheard of 12 months ago, I think most Formula 1 fans, they'd be willing to give it a try. But of course, I want to know your thoughts. This is a very controversial topic, which usually I absolutely love. What am I kidding? I enjoy this as well. But I want to know your thoughts. Do you think they've been a success, or do you think it's just been absolutely shambolic? You're never buying one. You just think they're a disgrace of a company. I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments below. If you've made it this far and if you haven't subscribed already, what are you doing? Sorry, that was a bit aggressive. But welcome to the team if you are considering subscribing. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.